Is a high-fat carnivore diet even something you want to try? Hey, what's shaking bacon? My name is Bruno Panucci. I hope you're doing well. So I've been doing carnivore for quite a while now, and I've been doing it strict for over 2.5 years, and I've been doing it not so strict because I was just inconsistent with it since 2018. Now, I was zero carb for a while before that, and when I was inconsistent, because it was difficult to manage my sugar carbohydrate addiction, I was always going up and down on the scale. Since I've been carnivore, for the most part, I've been stable. But when I went high fat, I put on weight. I slept like a baby, though, I gotta tell you. I've done a lot of different styles of carnivore and a lot of different ways of eating. Now, the thing is, which one do you choose? Well, I think you should figure it out depending on what your goal is. So there's lots of different ways to manage your health with carnivore. Typically, when I start a carnivore diet, within a month, most of my health problems get managed extremely well. My blood pressure, heart rate, all these different things. My blood sugar balances beautifully. But I have severe insulin resistance. So I still have high cholesterol. It doesn't really bother me, but it does bother my cardiologist. I still have a substantial amount of weight to lose, even though I've lost over 140 pounds. And I've tried lots of different ways to manage this. High protein, low protein, moderate protein. With each of those levels of protein, I was balancing the fat with that. I've tried lots of food through the day. I've tried a little bit of food through the day. I've tried intermittent fasting. I've tried going days at a time without food. I've tried lots of different ways. I've done water fast. I've done PMSF. I've done high fat. I've done time restricted eating. I've done metabolic confusion. I've had days where I've eaten more lean. I've had days where I've eaten more fat. I've mixed that in with intermittent fasting. I've mixed that in with restricted time windows throughout the day. I've done OMAD. I've done a couple days at a time without water. There's lots of different ways you can still do a carnivore diet, and not always a carnivore. Now, I'm about to go on to a 3-day water fast, and I've done water fast in the past and felt great, but my background with hypothyroidism and gout really made it something that I had to be careful of doing in the future. And it was May in 2020. That was the last time I had a gut attack. And it was because I started taking berberine. Berberine managed my blood sugar a little bit better, because what happened was, as Kelly Hogan would say, the fire is under control. That's my blood sugar. Carnivore manages my blood sugar really well. But the water to put out the fire, the insulin, is just out of control, and it's too much water getting sprayed on that fire. So even though my blood sugar is fine on a carnivore diet, no matter how I do a carnivore diet, my blood sugar is perfect, other than when I exercise, of course, because when you exercise, your blood sugar goes up. But my insulin has been out of whack. I've only been turned on to that since early this year, that my insulin has been out of control, and I figured my insulin was out of control way back 3 years ago when I realized there was a connection between gout and blood sugar regulation. So even though my blood sugar was balanced on a carnivore diet, I realized, is it possible to have insulin that's still out of whack even though my blood sugar was looking good? We never looked into my insulin because my blood sugar was always perfect. Problem is, I don't know why that's still an issue. My insulin should not be high after 2.5 years of strict carnivore. And like I always say, not a lick, taste, or bite of anything off a carnivore diet. So I've tried some different things to get this under control. The more recent thing I've tried has been high fat. Now, I did 80-20 last year with moderate protein. So this year I tried 90% of my calories coming from fat and 10% coming from protein. The reason why I did that was not for nutritional reasons. I wasn't trying to maintain or build lean mass. I was putting that to the side temporarily. There's a difference between doing things like I've normally done on my carnivore channel, trying to lose weight while maintaining my lean mass. That has been the ultimate goal. But I also want to continue to heal, and I still have hypothyroid and a history of adrenal gland fatigue. So the purpose of doing this high-fat version of carnivore was to try and manage those two things. And I'm going to see how this water fast affects this. It might strain it worse. It might make it a little better. If there's one thing I did notice doing this high-fat 90-10 ratio was my allergies this year were virtually non-existent. Yes, I've been blowing my nose maybe a half dozen times a day, but my eyes typically aren't horribly itchy. I went through 2 days of bad allergies. Typically, I go through at least 7 to 10 days, and that's been after taking adrenal supplements for my adrenal gland. And that's been for the last maybe 8 years I've been doing that, and it's gotten that down from 4 to 6 weeks down to 7 to 10 days. This year, I did 2 months of high fat. Just by coincidence, getting into my allergy season, I only had 2 days. On a scale of 1 to 10, they're like a 2. I used to have my allergies for 4 to 6 weeks at a 8 to 10 out of 10, and I was taking vitamin C to manage that. Being down to 2 days of allergies is great, and I don't think it's a coincidence that it was in conjunction with a high fat carnivore diet I was doing at 90% of my calories coming from fat. For me and some other people, they put on fat doing that. Most people, when they go to a high fat diet, they lose weight. I don't. I still have fasting insulin issues. So that's why my weight is still an issue. And I still have thyroid issues. But when you're not doing too well with your insulin, and that causes low-grade inflammation throughout your whole body, there's something else going on. And you're not going to handle that certain amount of food that you're getting through the day. So when it comes down to what style of carnivore you want to do, I think it all comes down to your quality of life. If you want to do ketovore and you can get by doing ketovore and you're happy with how you feel doing ketovore, then keep that up. All the more power to you. I wish I didn't have to do strict carnivore, but no matter what I try, it's always going to be strict carnivore because I just have a sugar and carbohydrate addiction and I suck at managing those things. So ketovore, lazy carnivore, if you want to do the Paul Saladino version of eating, you know what, compared to a standard American diet, it's a heck of a lot better. I don't recommend it. I don't think it's definitely not carnivore, but all those other ways I mentioned earlier in the video with the PSMF, high fat, low protein, and any mixture of those in the middle, if you're trying to do this, not for nutritional reasons, but to see what your body reacts best to, that's great. Because after you've gotten to a point where I've tried all these things, given them a fair shot, I've done body scans to measure my lean mass and body fat percentage, and they're good high quality scans done with a DEXA scan as well as a bod pod. I can turn around and know what I have success with. And here's the thing, that's going to change. As my body continues to heal, the way I've been taking my food in will change once I've healed. Once I've gotten to the point where I can handle lots of small meals or one big meal a day or alternate day fasting, whatever I want to add to my carnivore diet. By that point, I'll be more bulletproof. I'll have a better metabolism and anything I throw at my metabolism will be handled pretty well. It takes a long time to get there, but you have to get there. And I'm trying to find the best way to get there. So it requires having different tools in your tool belt. I've tried lots of these different tools, some of them to great success. Some of them have only gotten me so far. And at that point, it's like, okay, now it's time to think, what else can I do? And I'm at the point where I need to get my fasting insulin managed fast. I want to get that under control before I go back to trying anything else. So the latest thing I'm doing is a saltwater fast. That's going to keep me mineralized throughout the day. I'm going to be doing some activity as well. I find I usually feel good doing fasts. And if I get cold, I'm going to do some weight-bearing exercises. I'm going to rely on hydrotherapy to exhaust my body so that I can start sleeping better and keep my body temperature up. Because I find I typically don't sleep well when I do water fasting. But the goal of a water fast is to try and help heal the body. Yes, it might stress out my adrenal glands and thyroid a little bit, but in the long run, if it helps my other hormone, specifically my fasting insulin, my insulin gets balanced, then once that's more under control and I become more insulin sensitive, if this indeed works after I do some rolling fasts, then maybe I can start working on the other things. I personally think insulin is at the core of the problem. Get the insulin under control and I'll be able to get my adrenal gland under control. Get my adrenal gland under control and my thyroid will get under control. Now, it may not work that way. It may work in a slightly different order, but I still think that insulin is at the foundation of it all. So what I'm getting at is I want you to have different tools in your tool belt. I've touched on most of these topics in my videos. There's no reason why you should ever look down on any of these ways of doing carnivore or any of these styles of eating, because you have to find the right tool for you. And sometimes you have to learn by failing at something. And sometimes you can have the benefit of learning and having it succeed right out of the gate. Most people, when they do carnivore, they get amazing success. But typically, if you've been sick for a long window of time in your life, as I have for decades with obesity and yo-yo dieting, what happens is it takes a little longer to heal. And that comes with the territory. But I want to get out of the danger zone with my body fat percentage so that I can start exploring what else I can do. I was fine taking my time with my weight going down slowly, but since it turned around, I have to get that under control fast. So I'm going to give this a shot, see how it goes, and hopefully the rebound won't be too bad. I'll talk about rebound in another video, because after you lose weight, you always kind of rebound a little bit. So the goal is to not rebound a lot. I'll get into the details about that more in a future video. This is day 1 of my water fast. So I've recorded this in the middle of the day, so I haven't really had any success or failure so far. Yeah, the water's on the salty side, that sucks. But at the same time, you just chase it with some regular filtered water and you'll be fine. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. So I'm trying something different with my videos. I'm not putting ads in the middle of them, but it makes it better for you, the viewer. So in return, I'd appreciate it if you could give it a like, subscribe, or comment. I'd really appreciate that. Thanks a lot.